I walk alone across the African savanna under a wide, pale sky, dry grass moving slowly with the wind, my green t-shirt visible against the yellow landscape, my light skin and blonde hair exposed to the sun as I scan the horizon with calm focus. The day feels ordinary at first, just heat, insects, distant birds, and my own footsteps pressing into the dusty ground as acacia trees stand scattered and silent around me. Everything changes when I notice movement ahead that does not match the rhythm of the land, something heavy, slow, and struggling near a shallow depression in the savanna. I stop, walking and narrow my gaze, realizing the shape is a pregnant lioness, her belly extremely large and hanging low, her breathing visible even from a distance. As I get closer, the danger becomes unmistakable. The pregnant lioness has both front paws tightly bound by thick metal chains, the links digging into her fur and restricting every attempt to move forward. The lioness tries to rise, but the chains pull her paws together, forcing her weight onto her swollen belly, causing visible strain and discomfort as she shifts in the dry grass. She does not roar or attack. Instead, she fixes her eyes on me, her gaze steady and exhausted, her tail twitching slowly, communicating urgency without a sound. I remain fully visible, a blonde white man wearing a green t-shirt, standing still with open posture, aware that every step closer must be deliberate and calm. The chains glint in the sunlight, clearly not natural, clearly placed by human hands, and I understand immediately that this is not a wild accident but a deliberate act of cruelty. The pregnant lioness attempts to crawl forward, the chains scraping against the dirt, her massive belly swaying slightly as she moves only. Hair wearing a green t-shirt, showing through posture that I am not a threat. The pregnant lioness lifts her head slightly, her enormous belly pressing into the ground, her front paws still bound tightly by thick metal chains that prevent her from standing properly. I assess the situation carefully, understanding that attempting to break or pull the chains with bare hands would cause panic, pain, and likely serious injury to her swollen belly. I slowly reach for my satellite phone clipped to my belt, keeping my eyes on the pregnant lioness, ensuring my movement does not trigger fear or sudden reaction. With deliberate motions, I activate the phone and send an emergency location signal, requesting wildlife rescue assistance trained to handle large predators safely. While waiting, I remain nearby but still, positioning myself downwind so my scent is carried away, reducing stress for the pregnant lioness restrained by the chains. The heat remains intense, and I notice the lioness's breathing fluctuate as she shifts slightly, the chains clinking softly with each minimal movement of her front paws. I remove my green t-shirt slowly, holding it in my hands, and place it carefully on the ground several meters away to create a visible marker for approaching rescuers. I put the green t-shirt back on immediately, maintaining my consistent appearance, then return to the same calm stance, never turning my back on the pregnant lioness. In the distance, a faint outline of a rescue vehicle appears moving slowly across the savanna, dust rising behind it as trained professionals approach. I raise one arm steadily, signaling direction without shouting, ensuring no sudden gestures are made near the pregnant lioness with her front paws chained. As the rescue team stops at a controlled distance, I step slightly aside, allowing them a clear view of the pregnant lioness, the heavy chains, and the urgency of her condition. I know at this moment that intervention has begun, and that the right actions, taken carefully and professionally, can still save her and the cub she carries. The rescue team prepares quickly, and I remain still. A blonde white man with light skin and short blonde hair wearing a green t-shirt, watching as every movement now carries life or death weight in the open African savanna. The pregnant lioness shifts suddenly, her enormous belly tightening as her body tenses, and I immediately recognize the signs that her condition is worsening faster than expected. Her breathing becomes sharp and uneven, her sides heaving as the thick metal chains around her front paws prevent her from finding a stable position on the hard, cracked ground. One of the rescuers moves closer with controlled precision, but the lioness reacts instinctively, attempting to pull her front paws apart, causing the chains to bite deeper into her fur. The effort forces her weight forward, and for a terrifying moment, her massive belly rolls against the ground, putting extreme pressure on her body and the cubs inside. I feel the urgency spike as the lioness lets out a strained, breathless exhale, her legs shaking violently while dust rises around her from the struggle. The rescuers pause instantly, reassessing, understanding that forcing the chains now could cause collapse, internal injury, or trigger premature labor in the worst possible position. Seconds stretch unbearably as the lioness lowers her head, her strength visibly fading, her front paws still locked together by the chains that keep her trapped. The lead rescuer makes a decisive adjustment, signaling for a different approach, choosing controlled sedation over force to prevent further stress on the pregnant lioness. I remain frozen in place, fully aware that this decision is the turning point, that the wrong choice here could mean losing both the mother and the cubs she carries. The sedative takes effect slowly, and the lioness's movements soften, her breathing stabilizing just enough as her body finally releases some of the tension built by pain and fear. As the chains are finally prepared to be cut under precise conditions, I know we have reached the edge of failure and success, and that everything depends on these next careful seconds. The chains are cut cleanly and carefully, and I watch as the thick metal finally releases from the pregnant lioness's front paws, leaving her legs free for the first time in what feels like an eternity. The pregnant lioness remains calm under sedation, her breathing steady now, her enormous belly rising and falling without the added strain of restraint. The rescuers gently pull the heavy chains away and place them aside, ensuring nothing remains tangled around her paws or pressing into her fur. I stay exactly where I am, a blonde white man with light skin and short blonde hair wearing a green, a POW t-shirt, witnessing the moment without interfering, allowing the professionals to finish their work. As the sedation begins to wear off, the pregnant lioness slowly flexes her front paws, testing movement, placing them carefully on the dry savanna ground. She shifts her weight forward and then back, discovering balance again, her massive belly supported properly now that her posture is no longer forced by chains. For the first time, the pregnant lioness manages to stand fully, her legs steady despite exhaustion, her body aligned naturally under the African sun. She pauses, standing still, breathing deeply, adjusting to the freedom of movement while the savanna stretches quietly around her. The rescuers step back in unison, giving space, ensuring there is no pressure, no noise, and no sudden motion as she regains strength. The pregnant lioness takes a slow step forward, then another, her paws sinking lightly into the dry grass instead of scraping helplessly against the dirt. She turns her head briefly in my direction, her eyes calm and alert, not fearful, not aggressive, simply aware. I remain motionless, respectful, understanding this silent exchange as a moment of trust rather than dominance. The pregnant lioness walks away into the savanna, her powerful body moving steadily, her enormous belly swaying gently as she disappears among the tall grass and acacia trees. I stand alone again in the African savanna, green t-shirt catching the light, watching the grass settle behind her, knowing that both she and the cubs she carries now have a future.